here with Randall Stewart of APS Asset Management, who won the Quickfire showcase today. Randall, your funds invest in the emerging markets, is that fair to say?
That's correct.
Yeah.
We invest in China, Asia in general, and also Japan.
Okay, and we're hearing a lot at the GAIM conference this year about the polarisation that's forming between East and West. Is that something that helps you in your investment?
Well, it helps Asia in general, and it does help our investments. If you look at what's been going on in Greece and in Europe, there's been concern about sovereign risk, concern about the fiscal constraints and what that might do to the economies here, and basically a concern about slowing economic and profit growth. In Asia, we're not seeing really much of a spillover effect. China, for example, exports roughly 13.5% of its exports go to Euroland, and even smaller percent to the so-called PIGS countries. So the slowdown here in Europe and perhaps in the US really has very limited effect with what's going on in China and Asia. We still see rising sales, rising profits, and as a result of the market declines, cheaper valuations.
So does it give you a competitive edge to be investing in foreign parts, as it were?
Well, I believe for investors it really gives them a competitive edge because the correlations are lower, the profit growths are still quite robust, and if you look at the types of companies you can get, we've invested in companies such as BYD, which is an auto parts and now an electric auto manufacturer, well before it was known on the street. I think Warren Buffett became, I don't think, but he is the largest investor now. We identified that years before he even looked at it.
You got one over on Warren Buffett, that was very clever.
I'm sorry to throw that in there, but
yeah,
it doesn't happen, unfortunately it doesn't happen as often as we'd like. But the fact is you can buy companies that are growing in 20-30% EPS growth, and maybe they're trading at 5 or 6 or 7 times PER with 20-30% operating margins. I mean, that's the type of values you can find and opportunity.
And how do you do your research?
So we have, we're on the ground, we're a bottom-up investor. Deep fundamental research is our raison d'etre. We have 20 plus analysts and investment professionals in the region. We have offices in Shanghai, Shenzhen, Beijing in China, Tokyo, and then our headquarters is in Singapore. And so we've got a team kicking the tires throughout the region, finding those ideas, undiscovered gems in Asia, hopefully before the street.
And looking forward, can Asia continue to see the growth it's seen? Will it carry on?
Well, that's actually a very interesting question, one that's, I think, brought the markets down in terms of performance recently. We know that some Asian economies continue to be reliant on external demand, such as Japan. China, however, has been making a concerted effort to shift away from external demand and more to domestic demand as driving the economy, driving corporate profit growth. So they're spending infrastructure spend. They are boosting healthcare benefits so that people can basically, they don't have to save as much for healthcare. They are taking measures to really, well, we've seen strikes in China that are boosting wages at, for example, Honda and Foxconn factories by 30+%. Now, there are concerns about wage inflation, but even with 30%, China labor costs are much lower than what we would see here in Europe or in the US. So, bottom line, it's like Henry Ford when he would give his workers a raise. He wasn't being nice. He had his self-interest at heart. He gave them a raise because they could buy more of his products. China's doing the same thing.
Okay. And is this your first trip to GAIM?
Yes, it is.
And seemingly so far, it's quite a nice experience.
Well, we won a bottle of champagne. I mean, this is great. We'll be back.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you from Randall Stewart from APS Asset Management, our winner today.
Thank you, Erin.